So for over a century, whenever we hear the word Tyrannosaur, it conjures up a very specific, terrifying image in our minds, right? We immediately picture this hulking, massive brute with a big, blocky head and bone-crushing jaws. But what if I told you that one of the weirdest dinosaurs ever discovered completely shatters that stereotype? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're enthusiastically counting down 10 mind-blowing facts about Alioramus. This is a creature that utterly defies what we thought we knew about the most famous family of prehistoric predators, swapping brute strength for some incredibly strange, highly specialized evolutionary traits. Okay, let's dive into this. What exactly had up to 78 teeth, 6 distinct horns, and a snout so long it literally looked like Pinocchio, but was actually a close relative of the mighty T-Rex? I mean, it sounds like some mythical creature cobbled together from different animals, right? But it was very real. This bizarre combination of traits breaks pretty much everything we traditionally understand about tyrannosaurids. And to understand how an animal like this could even exist, we've got to start with how this incredible creature was first unearthed. Section 1. The Different Branch. Fact number 1 is actually this chronological detective story, and it spans decades. The hunt started back in the 1970s during a joint Soviet-Mongolian expedition into the blistering, completely desolate landscape of the Gobi Desert's Nemegt Formation. It was there, in 1976, that a paleontologist named Sergei Kurzanov identified a partial skull. Now, in paleontology, having just a fragment is, well, it's agonizing. It tells you something entirely new exists, but it completely denies you the full picture. So for decades, the fossil record for this creature just remained stubbornly empty. It was like this massive prehistoric puzzle missing most of its pieces. But finally, in 2001, an expedition involving Julia Clark unearthed a beautifully preserved, much more complete skeleton of a second species, Alioramus altai. That discovery was the absolute game changer that finally allowed scientists to accurately reconstruct its wildly unique body. And that brings us to fact number 2, which is actually hidden right in its scientific name. Alioramus Remotus comes directly from Latin, and it translates to removed other branch. You see, when Kurzanov studied that first fragmented skull back in the 70s, he noticed its really low profile and these strange bumps along the snout. Traditional tyrannosaurids, like the T-Rex or Tarbosaurus, have these deep, robust skulls designed to anchor massive jaw muscles. But the slender, shallow skull, it was so radically different that Kurzanov knew instantly this dinosaur belonged on a totally different branch of the family tree. Moving right along to Section 2, a bizarre horned anatomy. And the pace of our facts is about to speed up here, as things get pretty weird. Fact number 3 is the highly accurate, if slightly hilarious, nickname given to the Alioramus tribe, Pinocchio Rex. While standard tyrannosaurs evolved those broad, boxy faces to crush right through bone and armor, these guys went in the exact opposite evolutionary direction. They developed unusually long, shallow, and delicate snouts that stretched dramatically out in front of their eyes. It gave them this highly streamlined, almost comical profile compared to their bulky, bone-crushing cousins. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is our fourth fact, the strange ornamentation decorating that elongated snout. Alioramus sported a series of 5 to 6 distinct bony crests, or hornlets. These things jutted straight upwards from the nasal bones and measured anywhere from 1 to 2 inches tall. And because they had this uneven, jagged appearance, they gave the dinosaur an incredibly fearsome, almost mythical dragon-like face. Plus, out in the wild, these crests were likely covered in keratin. You know, the exact same stuff our fingernails are made of, which would have made them appear even larger and sharper when the animal was actually alive. All right, Section 3, record-breaking Tyrannosaur teeth. Fact number 5 is a massive, record-breaking statistic. 78. The Alioramus had between 76 and 78 teeth, packed tightly into its jaws. That is literally the absolute highest tooth count of any known tyrannosaurid in history. To put that into perspective for you, most giant bone-crushing tyrannosaurs tapped out at around 60 teeth max. Having nearly 80 teeth completely shifts how we understand a tyrannosaur's mouth. It transforms it from a heavy bone-crushing vice into a highly specialized trap. Which brings us to Section 4, the agile, delicate hunter. Fact 6 dives into the mechanics of that bizarre mouth. A traditional T-Rex used a terrifying feeding method known as puncture pull. Its heavy, deep jaws and thick teeth were literally built to bite straight through solid bone and rip away massive chunks of meat. But the Alioramus utilized an entirely different strategy. Its delicate, slender jaws and dozens of smaller teeth were built for fast snapping. It didn't possess the brute force to shatter a femur. Instead, it specialized in acting almost like a giant, deadly pair of tweezers, perfectly adapted for snatching smaller, faster, unarmored prey that might otherwise just slip away. And our seventh fact reveals how the rest of its body supported this fast snapping lifestyle. Just look at the data here. A typical large Tyrannosaur was an absolute tank, stretching up to 40 feet long and weighing well over 7,000 kilograms. But Alioramus? A fraction of that size. At 19 feet long and weighing just around 500 kilograms, it was practically a featherweight in the theropod world. But here's the real evolutionary cheat code. Its skeleton was highly pneumaticized. That means its bones were filled with complex air pockets. This significantly reduced its body mass without sacrificing any structural integrity, basically turning Alioramus into a hyper-agile sprinter capable of incredible bursts of speed. All right, on to Section 5, living with giant predators. Fact number 8 brings us to the Late Cretaceous ecosystem, where this nimble hunter actually lived. Alioramus called the Nemegt Formation home, which, millions of years ago, was this landscape of wet, humid floodplains, sprawling rivers, and dense forests. And this lush environment supported a staggering array of massive animals. We're talking giant, long-necked titanosaurian sauropods shaking the earth, the bizarre Therizinosaurus swinging its scythe-like claws, and, for sure the most dangerous, the apex predator of the region, the terrifying giant Tarbosaurus. Fact 9 is perhaps one of the most brilliant evolutionary strategies in the animal kingdom, and it explains exactly how a 500-kilogram predator survived right next to a 5-ton monster like Tarbosaurus. Paleontologists call this niche partitioning. It's the exact same strategy we see today with modern predators. Just think about how a lithe cheetah survives on the same African savanna as a massive pride of lions. Alioramus survived by relying on its extreme agility to hunt small, swift prey that the bulky Tarbosaurus simply couldn't catch, or honestly just wouldn't bother expending energy on. By occupying this totally different ecological niche, Alioramus thrived without ever having to directly compete or fight with the heavy bone crushers. Finally, Section 6, the Teenage Dinosaur Mystery. And this brings us to fact number 10, Part 1, which is easily the most mind-blowing aspect of this entire species. Despite knowing so much about its bones, its habitat, and its hunting style, paleontologists are faced with a massive, glaring scientific conundrum. Where are all the adults? Seriously, where are they? So the crucial point is, every single Alioramus specimen ever pulled from the earth is a juvenile or subadult. Those 19-foot fossils we've been studying, they essentially belong to teenagers. And scientists know this for a fact through histological bone analysis. It's kind of like counting the rings on a tree. Paleontologists can take incredibly thin cross-sections of dinosaur bone and count the growth rings to determine the animal's exact age at the time of death. This incredible technique proved that the beautifully complete Alioramus altai specimen we discussed earlier, it was only about 9 years old when it died. To this very day, a fully mature adult has never been found. Which leaves us with a truly provocative question to wrap our minds around. What did a fully mature, heavily ornamented adult Alioramus actually look like? In the dinosaur kingdom, cranial ornamentation, horns, crests, bumps, tends to grow significantly larger, more elaborate, and much more rugged as an animal ages. If a 9-year-old already possessed an incredibly long snout covered in an aggressive row of jagged, upward-jutting horns, an adult might have been completely alien to our current understanding of dinosaurs. Somewhere out there, beneath the sands of the Gobi Desert, the answer to this incredible prehistoric mystery is just waiting to be unearthed.